Hi, my name is Liz. It's very hot here today, so I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's a dabbing sloth. I've been going through a lot of my old childhood things recently since my mom has sold my childhood home. And while going through some of my things, I found my Littlest pet shops. Here's a bunny. Behold, the bunny. You know Littlest pet shops. The world where animals of all shapes and sizes are living in harmony all together. But if they are living in harmony, does that mean that none of them attack each other because they're all vegan? Now I have some questions. Now I do think I did get into them a little bit late in the game because my friends had so many, like hundreds, and they were expensive. And my mom was like, "I'm not spending that much money." While I did get some of the, I believe, McDonald's toys they were handing out, and I like begged my mom to try and get some for me. But I did get some actual ones, and you can tell which ones are my favorite because of how scuffed up some of them are. This one would be me, because it looked like my childhood cat Liberty, except Liberty had green eyes. This one would be my best friend, or the biggest bitch ever. Usually they were my best friend, though. This one would usually be the boy. Is a panda. And this one was always the bitch. I don't like how it looked. This one was a dork-ass loser. But as I took a closer look at these Littlest pet shops, I noticed that all of them may all be predators. Not in the weird sense, but as like animal sense. Now, what exactly do I mean by the Littlest pet shop characters may be all predators? Predators often have their eyes facing forward. They have this in the front of their skulls so they can hunt easier and be able to see where they're going. Whereas deer, for example, have their eyes on the sides of their heads so they can be more aware of their surroundings to evade said predators. Deers, cows, horses, anything that's usually a herbivore. Usually, not always. But apex predators, such as tigers and humans, have their eyes facing forward. Since they're going to be hunting, the eyes facing forward makes things a lot easier so they can pounce on it. And all of the Littlest pet shop characters have their eyes facing forward. All of these characters, except the singular fish. Why? I do not know. All of them, though, have their eyes forward and not to the side. So by definition, that must mean that they are all predators. I do have the one fish. Its eyes are on the side. See? Comparatively to this giraffe, which is usually a herbivore and is not a predator, its eyes are facing forward. This fish will not be able to see you coming. It will not be able to see the giraffe coming. Nom, 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 nom. Now you might be saying, Liz, that's a giraffe. It's not a predator. Well, Littlest pet shops may be a different variant of animal. Now, since all of them have their mouths shut, we are not sure what exactly their teeth look like. Are their teeth sharp with fangs? Are they able to eat meat? Or do they have things like humans where we're omnivores, so we have teeth that are easy to ground things up, like leaves, but we also have sharper teeth to help bite into things, like meat, and other things like apples and things too can also be a part of that. But, the apple isn't exactly a meat, so I don't really know why I said apple. But since we do not know what exactly the Littlest pet shops are they a different variant of their animal? Do they all eat meat? Are they all carnivores? Are they omnivores? Since they do technically all live in harmony in their Littlest pet shop universe, are they all vegetarian / herbivores? Again, we don't know. Despite them, though, being predators usually going for meat, are they omitting meat in their diet because they're all supposed to be living in harmony and they can't go and eat each other because they're all supposed to be pets? But let's talk a little bit more about how they look. Now, all the Littlest pet shop characters have these big ass fucking heads. Normally, a big ass head like that on a tiny body would not be boding very well for hunting. The second that they would move, they'd probably fall over by the weight of their giant head. So do they have just a giant skull with a tiny brain possibly? And most of their brain is made of water, making them a little bit dumber than your average animal, making them perfect pets because they wouldn't attack you or other animals, because they can't physically do that, as they are the big head, big eyes, tiny bodies. Much like a little chihuahua, while little chihuahuas are terrifying, they have big heads and tiny bodies, and sometimes when their heads are a little bit too big, they kind of get, and they start running, sometimes they fall over by the weight of their own bodies. So impossibility in a timeline of this, Littlest Pet Shop characters could be apex predators in their timeline for a short moment, but when evolution kind of catches up to them, they wouldn't be able to continue on with their lifestyle with their giant heads and tiny bodies. So are they actually just a form of the animal that they are, like a deformity of that species? Were these animals born with the giant heads and tiny bodies, or were these a man-made thing? These are things that we will never know because Littlest Pet Shop doesn't have lore. But I might be able to make some lore. Oh, Matt Pat, come back to YouTube to do some lore on Littlest Pet Shop. I'm begging you. But this is my lore that I'm trying right now. But again, are these animals born with their giant heads and little bodies and big eyes? And does this make them suffer at all? Or do they have more water weight than anything in their heads? Would they possibly adapt to their surroundings? How long is their lifespan of this particular way of life? Are they actually evolved forms of these animals? Or are they a process of good breeding? Not good, because it's much like the pug, where we've bred it so horribly now where they cannot breathe. No, breathe. They cannot breathe through their noses because we've bred them so much to have a squished nose that now that they are completely unhealthy to have. That's a thing for another thing. Now, these are all great questions. Do I have an answer of this? No, because this is a toy that came out 10 plus years ago. And I, again, got into them a little late, and I never was much for one to be like, I'm going to have a little story of my Littlest Pet Shops, except occasionally being like, yeah, this is me. I'm cool. But it is my firm belief that all the Littlest Pet Shop characters are evolved forms of predators, but we have decided to breed them like the house cat and the dog to be pets and not be as harmful as a predator could be out in the wild. Like a lion, you wouldn't want to bring a lion into your house because it does have that base urge to go hunt and kill. Now, just because a predator is a predator does not mean that it is an apex predator. An apex predator is a predator that has nothing above it in the food chain. Now, humans are apex predators, even though I know that most animals could definitely take me out. I am stronger than I look, but not that strong. And I'm not going to deny the fact that I would die if someone left me out in the woods. And apex predators also aren't strictly all carnivores. Again, humans, we are omnivores, but there are some predators, apex predators, that, again, are omnivores as well. Now, I wouldn't exactly consider the Littlest Pet Shop characters apex predators anymore, as going through this analysis and studying what they look like, as I don't think that they would do very well out in the wild. If you put a regular, let's say, a regular panda against the Littlest Pet Shop panda, this little Pet Shop panda is going to probably die, except pandas are pretty peaceful animals. So it's really not a good comparison there. Now, another thing that goes into the form of breeding is trying to make a animal as cute to us humans as possible. So are the Littlest Pet Shops a form of just terrible continuous breeding to make it so these animals are as cute to us as possible? Maybe. And if we are specifically breeding these animals to be pets, is it ethical to have a giraffe as a pet? And that also goes into how big are the Littlest Pet Shop characters actually. Now I know, we put it in your hand like this and it's, it's a tiny little character. But if they were in real life, is this cat the same size as my normal house cat? And does that mean that this giraffe is just a little bit taller than a normal house cat? Is it ethical to have a giraffe in your house? Do you know how to take care of a giraffe? I don't. Now, if we are looking at them into IRL terms, are they, the sizes that their actual animal counterparts are? Or are they kind of like, like a little amiibo? You put it in and you plug them in and it, brings out a character in the game. The game meaning life, the game of life. Or again, are they all the same size? This would mean that this pig, this snail, this puffin would all be the same size. If I saw an actual IRL snail that was the same size as a pig or a giraffe, I would freak out. Now, I'd like to assume that all of the animals are like the same size as a house cat or dog. So that would also mean that this fish is the same size as a regular sized house cat. And that is terrifying. Now, that would be very freaky to see, but it could by chance minimize the possibility of the animals going after each other since they all would be the same size. And since they are pets, I'm going to assume they are the same size as a house cat or dog since it would be easier for them to stay into our homes. And again, I understand this is a toy from like 15 years ago, but it's been very hot and I've been having really weird dreams, and this came to me in a dream and I needed to talk about it. But again, we need to think about, it's not that we don't really, but if we're going in IRL terms for a second, you need to think about the efficacy of having certain animals. Now, I do not agree with when people decide to get animals for Christmas without discussing it with their spouse, their kids. Kids, it's a little bit different, but unfortunately, I've known too many people in my lifetime that get a dog and then return them later just because it wasn't a good fit and they weren't doing the right research with the type of dog that they decide to get. It's also the same thing when it comes to getting rabbits for Easter. They are not a gift. They are a full animal and they are not just an Easter accessory. So, does this also apply with the Littlest pet shops? Are people buying them in this world where you can buy, a giraffe? Are people buying them as, an accessory other than a pet? Are they trying to make these animals go off of their basic instincts and be pets instead of what they are supposed to be, which is a giraffe out in the wild? Are we breeding these animals to be what we want them to be? I don't know. But in short, don't buy animals for the fun of it. That's a commitment. Exactly, Pico. It's a commitment. And does this also apply to the Littlest pet shops? They are considered pets. But is it ethical to own a panda? It is considered a pet in this world. In your shop. Maybe because it's bred that way, but we also breed dogs like that. So, what? What? Is it ethical? Is it ethical to have a Littlest pet shop and sell these animals? Comment down below. Okay, bye.